Jake Morrison and his friends couldn't hide their irritation when Zara Washington earned a spot on the Westfield High cheer team. To them, she didn't fit the image. She was the only black girl among a squad that had always looked the same. They weren't ready to see that change, so they tried to push her out the only way they knew how, with intimidation. But what Jake didn't realize was that Zara's calm wasn't weakness. It was discipline. She was the daughter of a Navy SEAL, raised to stay composed under pressure and never back down. He thought she'd fold. He had no idea he was messing with someone trained for moments like this. Before we dive deeper, let us know where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe, because tomorrow's story hits even harder. The school gym hummed with nerves as 23 girls stood in line, waiting for the final cheer squad announcement. Zara stood third from the left, her hands steady, though her heart raced. She'd pushed herself through every tryout, every stunt, every chant, and now this was it. Coach Peterson held her clipboard like a shield. "You've all shown incredible dedication," she began. "This year's Westfield varsity cheer team will represent our school with pride." Zara scanned the room. Blonde ponytails everywhere, bronzed makeup, practiced grins. From the side doors, the football team began to stroll in after practice. Jake Morrison led the group like he owned the place, with Tyler Knox and Brandon Mills trailing close behind. Then it came. Zara Washington. Her name. Her moment. It hit like a bolt of lightning. She'd made it. Applause followed, mixed with surprised glances. Zara stayed calm, just like her dad had taught her. Across the gym, she felt it. Jake's eyes locked on her, cold and calculating. He leaned toward Tyler, whispering. Brandon watched, not really knowing what to think. "Congrats to our new Eagles," Coach Peterson announced, ending the ceremony. As most students celebrated, Zara quietly grabbed her bag and headed for the door. But the football guys had stationed themselves right there, not so subtle. "Excuse me?" she said politely. Jake moved slightly, forcing her to brush past. "So, you're the new cheerleader?" he asked, his tone smug. "That's right," Zara replied, steady as ever. "Interesting choice by Coach Peterson," Tyler added, loud enough for others to hear. "Real forward thinking." "I earned it, just like everyone else," she said firmly. Jake smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "I'm sure you did. It's just, people expect their cheerleaders to look a certain way." "And what way is that?" she asked, her voice calm. Jake shrugged. "You know, school spirit, blonde hair, the full package. Traditional." "Like Barbie dolls?" she said, raising an eyebrow. Tyler stepped closer. "Like girls who actually belong here, who understand this school." "I understand it perfectly," Zara answered. "Excellence, community, and pride. That's exactly what I represent." Jake's smile cracked, just for a second. "We'll see. Football season's long. Not everyone can handle the pressure." "Good thing I can." She walked past them without looking back, their stares chasing her out of the building. Behind her, the guys exchanged bitter looks. "Seriously?" Jake muttered. "They actually put her on the team?" Tyler spit toward the trash. "This is what's wrong with everything. What's next? Making us take a knee?" Brandon hesitated, then tried to join in. "What if she's like one of those girls who thinks she's smarter than everyone?" "Oh, she definitely does," Jake replied, jaw clenched. "Did you see that look? Like we're the problem." Tyler's eyes narrowed. "She's not gonna last." But Zara Washington wasn't going anywhere, and they had no idea what she was really capable of. "Wait till my dad hears they picked a diversity quota over Ashley Martinez," Jake muttered bitterly. "She's been waiting 2 years for this spot, and they hand it to her?" He shook his head. "Our fans don't want that on the squad. They want real Eagle girls, not some—" He didn't finish the sentence, but his friends caught the message loud and clear. Brandon nodded, eager to belong. Yeah, exactly. People are going to be confused when they see her in uniform. This isn't that kind of school. Tyler cracked his knuckles with a grin. Well, she's about to learn what kind of school this really is. Jake's cold smile returned. Oh yeah, real educational. The pushback started small, almost subtle. Zara arrived Monday morning to find her locker slightly open. The lock was unfastened, and her books had been shuffled. Nothing stolen, just disturbed, deliberately. She scanned the hallway. 3 lockers down, Jake stood chatting with a sophomore girl, but his eyes kept drifting back to her. Weird, Zara murmured, carefully restacking her books. By third period, the cheer squad list had made its way through the school grapevine. Everywhere she went, whispers followed her. Some students smiled kindly. Others stared, puzzled, like she didn't fit the picture in their heads. Zara! Madison Clark, one of the senior cheerleaders, caught up with her between classes. I'm so glad you made the team. We're going to have a great season. Thanks, Zara replied, trying to sound upbeat. Madison leaned in slightly. Don't let anyone make you feel like you don't belong, okay? You earned this. The fact that Madison felt the need to say it only confirmed what Zara already knew. People were talking. At lunch, Zara sat with her usual honor society friends. As Tyler walked by, he accidentally bumped her chair hard, nearly knocking it off balance. Oops, he muttered, without even turning around. Jessica, sitting beside her, frowned. That was weird. Tyler's not usually clumsy. Maybe it's just an off day, Zara replied. But inside, she was already filing the incident away. It wasn't random. She knew that now. 7th period sealed it. During study hall, she glanced at her phone and saw an Instagram tag. The post was a screenshot of the cheer roster, her name circled in red. The caption read, Guess Westfield's gone woke. R.I.P. Real Eagle Pride. Not my cheerleader. 37 likes. Dozens of comments, each carefully avoiding slurs, but saying exactly what they meant. Diversity hire. She doesn't even look like she goes here. There goes the neighborhood. The account was fake. Handle Eagle Pride 2024. She blocked it, screenshotting everything with shaking fingers. At cheer practice that afternoon, tension clung to the air. Coach Peterson led them through routines, but Zara could feel the stares. Some teammates were friendly, others seemed to be waiting, as if she were some kind of test. All right, let's run the homecoming routine again, Coach called out. Zara, you'll start in the back row while you learn formations. As they lined up, Brittany Stevens, a junior with perfect curls and a constant Instagram-ready smile, planted herself directly in front of Zara. During each run-through, she edged backward, just enough to throw off Zara's steps. Oops, sorry, Brittany whispered, again and again, still learning. By the end of practice, Zara had been stepped on twice and elbowed during a spin. As she walked to her car, she spotted the football team wrapping up nearby. Jake was talking with Coach Reynolds, both occasionally glancing toward the cheer squad. Her phone buzzed. A message from her dad. How was first practice, Warrior? She typed, Fine, then deleted it. Good, learning the routines. Pick you up for dinner? Want to hear all about it? I'll drive myself. See you at home. That night, over dinner, she barely touched her food. Across the table, her father watched her closely, eyes sharp, expression calm, the way he'd always been. You're quiet tonight, he said softly. Just tired. New team. A lot to learn. He set down his fork. And how are the teammates treating you? She paused. He'd taught her to speak up when something wasn't right, but she also knew his protective side could flip from calm to full military response in a heartbeat. Most of them are fine. Takes time to adjust. He tilted his head. What about the ones who aren't fine? Zara looked up. His voice hadn't changed, but she heard it. The subtle shift, the quiet warning, the part of him that had read battlefield intel for decades, now reading her. Her father had interrogated enemy combatants in war zones, so he saw through her hesitation instantly. "I didn't raise you to lie to me, especially not about your safety," he said, his voice calm but firm. "What's going on?" Zara exhaled and handed over her phone. The Instagram post was still open. Commander Washington's face darkened as he read the caption, the comments, the intent behind every carefully chosen word. "This is just the beginning," he said quietly. "Anonymous posts, little accidents at practice, territory games. They're testing you, seeing how you react. So what do I do? You document everything, names, dates, screenshots, witnesses, but don't respond, not yet. Let them show their hand. And if it escalates," his smile was sharp, "then we'll talk options. But for now, stay sharp, stay smart. They picked the wrong girl to intimidate." As Zara went upstairs to finish homework, she didn't notice the black pickup truck parked across the street. Inside, 3 silhouettes sat in silence, watching her house. Jake Morrison was already planning his next move. Over the next 2 weeks, the pressure built like a rising flood behind a weak dam. On Tuesday, her cheer shoes vanished from the gym locker. She'd left them there after practice, and now they were gone. Coach Peterson had to loan her a pair 2 sizes too big. "That's strange," Madison frowned. "Who would steal cheer shoes?" "Maybe they just fell out," Brittany offered, her tone sugary sweet. "These old lockers, you know." Zara didn't respond, but during chemistry class, she caught Jake smirking at her 2 big shoes. Wednesday hit harder. Someone left a banana on her windshield, with a note scrawled in messy pen, "Monkey see, monkey do." She crumpled the paper and tossed it with shaking hands. Thursday, she opened her locker to find the words, "Go home," scratched into the metal. Deep, deliberate. She reported it to Principal Martinez. His response? "I'll have maintenance look into it." But vandalism is hard to prove without witnesses. Zara narrowed her eyes. "So I should just ignore racist graffiti?" "Let's not jump to conclusions," he said quickly. "It could mean anything." "What else could it possibly mean?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe just keep a low profile for now. Let things settle." But things weren't settling. They were sharpening. That afternoon, during lunch, it turned public. Zara walked past the football players' table, and Tyler Knox stuck out his foot. She tripped, catching herself before falling. "Watch where you're going," he said loudly, as if she had done something wrong. "You tripped me," Zara replied, calm but firm. Tyler stood up, tall, broad, looming. "You calling me a liar?" The cafeteria fell silent. Jake and Brandon flanked him, Letterman jackets forming a wall. "I'm saying," she said evenly, "you need to move your foot." Jake stepped forward, his voice low and biting. "You gonna run home and cry to Daddy? Oh wait, he's military, right? Bet it kills him knowing his daughter can't handle a few high school kids." Zara's breath caught, but she didn't back down. "At least he taught me how to be a decent human being." Tyler's face turned red. "You think you're better than us?" "I think I belong here just as much as anyone else." Brandon jumped in, his voice shaking but loud enough. "You really don't." Phones were already recording. Zara felt the eyes, the tension, the risk of exploding the moment with one wrong move, so she chose silence. Not fear, strategy. "We'll see about that," she said quietly, turning and walking away. Behind her, Jake's voice cut through the silence. "Yeah, walk away. That's what you people do best." The phrase echoed in her head the rest of the day. Then came Friday, the incident that changed everything. It was game day. Energy buzzed across campus. Zara had earned a move up to second row for the routine. For the first time in weeks, she felt proud. She was texting her dad, arranging a ride after the performance, when she noticed the puddle near the gym entrance. wide, muddy, deep from the morning rain. Most students avoided it. She didn't hear the footsteps behind her until it was too late. "Hey, new girl," Jake's voice sneered as he grabbed her arm. She barely had time to react before Tyler seized her other arm. Brandon stepped in, blocking the view from the parking lot. "What are you doing?" Zara demanded, trying to pull free. "Teaching you a little lesson," Jake growled, "about knowing your place." And with that, they shoved her, backward, toward the puddle. Zara tried to dig in her heels, but her sneakers slid on the wet pavement. "Stop it!" she shouted, loud enough to turn heads. "Oops," Tyler said mockingly, and then came the final shove. She fell hard. The puddle exploded around her as she landed, skirt torn on a jagged edge of concrete hidden beneath the surface. Cold, muddy water soaked her uniform, her skin, her pride. She scrambled up, trembling, but the three boys stood over her, grinning without shame. "Looks like someone forgot how to walk," Jake said, loud enough for the crowd to hear. "So clumsy." Cheerleaders rushed out, drawn by the noise. Madison gasped and ran toward her. "Oh my God, Zara, are you okay?" "I'm fine," Zara managed, though her voice cracked. Mud streaked her arms, her legs, even her face. Her ripped uniform exposed more than just fabric. It laid bare her dignity. Brittany Stevens, ever quick to exploit drama, already had her phone out. "This is going straight to Instagram. Warm epic fail." "Don't you dare!" Madison snapped. But Zara knew it was too late. By nightfall, her humiliation would be viral. She saw the football boys walking away, laughing, high-fiving like they'd just scored the winning touchdown. "Nice uniform," Tyler called. "Really brings out your eyes," Jake added, smug. And then the words that would echo in her mind, "Maybe now you'll remember where you really belong." Zara stayed in the puddle a moment longer, not because she was weak, but because she needed to feel it. The cold, the mud, the laughter, the shame. She needed to remember. Madison helped her to her feet, whispering apologies, but Zara hardly heard. Her father's voice rang louder in her mind. "When the system fails you, sometimes you have to create your own justice." She sat in her car after the game, still wearing her torn, borrowed uniform. The Eagles had won 28-14, but for Zara, it didn't matter. She hadn't performed. She'd watched from the sidelines, invisible, humiliated. Her phone buzzed. Texts, some from friends offering support, others with links to the video. 43 shares already. Captions like, "Diversity hire gets a reality check," when keeping it real goes wrong. She drove home in silence. When she walked in, her father was waiting in the kitchen, sipping coffee. One look at her muddy clothes, and he set the mug down with purpose. What happened? Zara had planned to downplay it. Start small. Ease into it. But when she saw that familiar intensity in her father's eyes, the same look he wore during mission briefings, the story came pouring out. "All of it," she said. "Jake Morrison, Tyler Knox, Brandon Mills. They've been coming after me since I made the team." She listed everything: the locker, the shoes, the posts, the puddle, the crowd, the cameras. Her father listened silently, his jaw clenched tighter with every word. When she finished, he spoke just once. "Show me the posts." She handed him her phone. He scrolled, one swipe, then another. Each comment chipped away at his restraint. "And what did the school say?" "Principal Martinez told me to keep a low profile, let it blow over." That was the moment something shifted in Commander Washington's expression. A flicker of something quiet, but dangerous. Did he now? "Dad, I know what you're thinking." "Do you? You want to go to the school, handle it yourself, but that'll only make things worse. They'll say I couldn't fight my own battles." Her father studied her, then nodded slowly. You're right, he said, but this can't go on. I know. Zara met his gaze. That's why I want you to teach me. He blinked. Teach you what? Everything. How to fight back. How to make sure this never happens again. There was a pause. Then he leaned back in his chair, voice calm but heavy with meaning. Physical confrontation should always be the last resort. They already crossed that line. He considered her words, then nodded. Fair point. But there are other ways to deal with people like them. Ways that don't give them the chance to flip the narrative. Like what? Like strategy, like planning, like precision. He leaned forward. You're my daughter. You're smarter than them. You're more focused, and you've got something they don't. What's that? A father who spent 20 years learning how to take down threats. His eyes narrowed. Now tell me everything. Their schedules, their habits, their weak points. We're not fighting back with fists. We're going to dismantle them, one move at a time. Meanwhile, across town at Jake Morrison's house, the football boys were celebrating. Did you see her face when she hit the water? Brandon laughed, tipping back his drink. Best part was how she tried to act tough after, Tyler added, like she wasn't completely wrecked. They had no idea. They had just started a war with someone trained to finish it. Jake leaned back in his gaming chair with a smug grin. That should send the message loud and clear. She doesn't belong here, and we're not pretending she does. You think she'll quit? Brandon asked, hopeful. Nah, Tyler shook his head. Girls like her. They don't fold. They double down. Try to prove something. Then we'll have to get more creative, Jake said flatly. Can't let her think ignoring us is an option. Brandon hesitated. What if she tells someone? Like, her parents? Tyler scoffed. Tell them what? That she tripped into a puddle? We didn't touch her. We were just walking by. Total coincidence. Exactly, Jake agreed. And even if she does try to turn it into something, who's gonna believe her over us? My dad basically built the new gym. Tyler's dad's on the school board. He smirked. We're Eagles royalty, and she's not. Brandon nodded, soaking up the confidence. Plus, Coach Reynolds loves us. And Principal Martinez? He's not about to risk the football program over some cheerleader with an attitude. Speaking of, Tyler pulled out his phone. Check this out. He showed them a group chat thread. Other football players and their girlfriends. The video of Zara in the puddle was making the rounds, and the comments? Uglier by the hour. One of the girls said she might quit if this drama keeps up, Tyler added. Apparently they're uncomfortable. Jake's eyes lit up. Perfect. Let them get uncomfortable. Let them pressure Coach Peterson to rethink the team. And if that doesn't work? Brandon asked. Jake's face turned cold. Then we escalate. We make her life miserable until transferring's her only option. Tyler leaned in. How far are we talking? As far as it takes, Jake said. This is our school, our team. She's not going to ruin what we've built. Back at the Washington house, a very different conversation was taking place. Commander Washington stood beside the kitchen table, speaking with the calm certainty of a man who'd led missions most people never knew existed. The key to every successful operation, he said, is intel. You need to know your targets better than they know themselves. What drives them? What scares them? What exposes them? Zara didn't hesitate. Jake Morrison is the ringleader, star quarterback. His dad owns Morrison Construction. They built half the town. He's being scouted by colleges. Football is his life. Her father nodded. And that's where he's vulnerable. Tyler Knox, Zara continued. Not as smart. More aggressive. His dad's on the school board. Scholarship kid. Football's his way out. Good, her father said. What about the last one? Brandon Mills. Follower. Just trying to keep up with the other two. Lives with his mom. Kind of invisible. Commander Washington smiled slightly. You've been watching. That's good. Then he leaned forward. Lesson 1. Never strike when they expect it. Right now, they feel invincible. That's when people slip up, and when they do, we'll be ready. What kind of slip-ups? The kind that leave evidence, the kind that show people who they really are. He stood. But before anything else, you need to protect yourself, if it ever gets physical again. You mean fight training? I mean survival training. Big difference. His tone sharpened. What happened yesterday, that was just the opening move. They're going to push harder because you didn't break. Are you ready for that? Zara thought of the mud, the laughter, the eyes watching her fall. I'm ready for whatever comes next. Then we start tomorrow. But understand, I'm not just teaching you to fight, I'm teaching you how to win. Saturday morning began at 6 a.m. Zara stood in the basement, now transformed into a tactical gym. Thick mats covered the floor, and 2 heavy bags swung from steel beams. Her father circled her like a drill instructor. Forget everything you've seen in movies, he said. This isn't about style, it's about efficiency, 3 seconds or less. He moved behind one of the punching bags and struck. Throat strike, crushes the windpipe, knee to the solar plexus, knocks the air out. Heel stomp, break the instep, they won't chase you. Zara watched intently, absorbing every motion. But before you do anything, you observe. Sun Tzu said, "The greatest victory is defeating the enemy without fighting." You watch, you study, you learn. Learn what? Where they go, who they trust, what they care about. Information is leverage, and leverage is power. For the next hour, he drilled her on real-world defense, how to break a wrist grab, how to create space, how to strike where it counts. Her body burned, but she didn't stop. You're not going to overpower them, he said, but you don't need to. You've got speed, focus, surprise. Use their arrogance against them. By 8 a.m., Zara's shirt was soaked with sweat, her legs trembling, but she stood taller than she had in weeks. Her father handed her a water bottle and a notebook. Your real homework starts now. I want details. Every routine, every weakness, every lie they've told. He placed a pen in her hand. Because this isn't about revenge. It's about strategy. And once we're ready, we strike back on our terms. Get full intel on all 3, Commander Washington said. Where they park, what halls they walk, who they talk to, everything. Zara blinked. How do I do that without making it obvious? He smiled. You learn to be invisible. Watch without being seen. Listen without being noticed. You don't stand out, you blend in. Like a spy? Exactly. Monday morning, Zara began her mission. She arrived at school 30 minutes early, slipping into the library with a perfect view of the parking lot. At 7:47 a.m. sharp, Jake Morrison pulled into his usual space by the gym in his black Challenger. 3 minutes later, Tyler arrived in a dented Ford pickup. Brandon was last, dropped off by his mom in a silver Honda Civic. During lunch, Zara sat with her back to the football table, using her phone's camera to record their body language and conversation rhythms. Jake led everything. Tyler added loud, often aggressive comments. Brandon just laughed at the wrong times. Between classes, she mapped their movements. Jake avoided crowds, taking long detours. Tyler liked the back hallways where teachers rarely showed up. Brandon, he followed whoever was closest. By Wednesday, she had 15 full pages of detailed notes. That night, her father reviewed them. Excellent. Now, what have you learned about them? Zara didn't hesitate. Jake's identity is built around football and image. He's being recruited by big schools, State and Alabama. Tyler's got financial pressure. He argued with his girlfriend about not being able to afford homecoming. Brandon just wants to be accepted. He needs the other two. Commander Washington leaned forward. So what would hurt them most? Zara thought. If Jake's college prospects collapsed, if Tyler lost his scholarship, and if Brandon got rejected by his so-called friends. Exactly. And how do those things collapse? If they get caught doing something serious, something that leaves a mark on their record. Her father nodded. Everyone has a secret. Our job is to find it. Meanwhile, across town, the boys mistook Zara's silence for weakness. The longer she stayed, the more emboldened they became. They were already planning something worse. That night, back at home, Zara updated her surveillance notes. Her father stepped into the room. How's the observation going? Good. Jake's the brain. Tyler's the muscle. Brandon's the weak link. Exactly. And weak links are where pressure cracks first. Zara looked up. What if they escalate before I'm ready? Her father didn't blink. Then you protect yourself. Strategy comes second. Survival comes first. She nodded. I think they're planning something bigger than the puddle. Something public, designed to humiliate me. Then we move faster. Tomorrow we begin phase 2. What's that? He smiled, turning their greatest strength into their biggest vulnerability. Thursday morning, over breakfast, her father placed a manila folder on the table. Phase 1. Target, Jake Morrison. Inside were photos of prescription bottles and a small Ziploc with loose white pills. Zara stiffened. Where did you get these? The nurse's office. Poor security. These were expired, supposed to be destroyed. The names are blacked out. Still real enough to be taken seriously. You want me to plant them? I want you to create a moment where Jake faces real consequences. The kind that matter to a kid like him. The kind that make recruiters back off. Zara stared at the bag. This could wreck his future. Her father's voice softened. And what do you think they've been trying to do to yours? She nodded slowly and tucked the folder into her backpack. Friday afternoon, Zara waited in the parking lot. Most students were gone. Football practice started in 30 minutes. She knew Jake's routine well. He always dropped his gear in the weight room, left his Challenger unlocked. He assumed no one would dare touch it. She approached casually, like she was heading to her own car. Her pulse raced. She opened the passenger door. The interior smelled like cologne and arrogance. The prescription bottle slipped easily under the seat, just visible if someone looked for it. The loose pills she scattered inside the center console, buried among gum wrappers and spare change. Her hands trembled as she shut the door and walked away. 2 hours later, during practice, a call came into the school's anonymous tip line. Someone had reported suspicious items in Jake Morrison's vehicle, and this time, he wouldn't walk away smiling. The anonymous tip had been simple. Someone should check Jake Morrison's vehicle before he drives home under the influence. That's all it took. During practice, Principal Martinez and Deputy Collins walked straight onto the field. Morrison, the officer called, we need to search your vehicle. Jake blinked. What? Why? Anonymous report. Probably nothing, but we've got to follow up. His teammates gathered as whispers spread. Coach Reynolds jogged over, brows furrowed. What's going on? Just routine, the officer assured him. Shouldn't take long. But it did. Within minutes, Deputy Collins held up a prescription bottle, label scratched out. A few moments later, he found loose white pills inside the center console. Jake's face went pale. Whose prescription is this? The deputy asked. I don't know, Jake stammered. I've never seen that before. You're saying someone planted drugs in your unlocked truck? Yes, I mean, maybe. I don't know how they got there. Principal Martinez exhaled through his nose. Jake, this is serious. These are classified as controlled substances. Test me. I'm not using anything, Jake pleaded. Ask anyone. That's not the issue, the officer said. Possession is possession. Coach Reynolds stepped forward. Come on, Principal. Jake's one of our best athletes. There has to be a mistake. But Martinez shook his head. I have no choice. Jake, I'm suspending you pending investigation. Deputy Collins will handle the legal side. The crowd watched as Jake's shoulders collapsed. Suspended? We've got playoffs. Scouts are coming next week. You should have thought about that, Deputy Collins said, sealing the bag of evidence. This is insane! Someone set me up, Jake shouted. Who would do this? No one answered. His eyes darted around the circle of players, coaches, and staff, searching for a familiar face. But for the first time, Jake Morrison looked afraid. From the cheerleading sideline, Zara watched the whole thing. Madison leaned toward her and whispered, "What's happening?" "Looks like Jake's in trouble," Zara said softly. "Drug trouble. Sounds like it." "Wow, he never seemed like the type. You never really know people," Zara murmured. Across the field, Jake was handcuffed and placed in the back of a police cruiser. Tyler and Brandon stood frozen, watching their leader disappear. "This is so messed up," Tyler muttered. "Jake doesn't touch that stuff." "Maybe someone did set him up," Brandon said, his voice low, unsure. Tyler's jaw tightened. "But who?" Brandon glanced toward the cheerleaders. Zara was mid-stretch, practicing like nothing had happened. "I don't know," he said, "but Jake's made a lot of enemies lately." That evening, the local news reported the arrest of Westfield High's star quarterback. By the time the broadcast ended, Jake's father had already hired a top defense lawyer. But the damage was done. State University called off their offer that night. Alabama pulled theirs the next morning. At the Washington house, Zara and her father watched the news in silence. "Phase 1 complete," Commander Washington said. "I should feel better," Zara whispered, pushing food around her plate. "But I don't. I just feel tired." "That's normal," he replied. "Justice rarely feels like revenge. But ask yourself this. How many students won't be bullied now that Jake Morrison knows what consequences feel like?" Zara nodded, thinking of the hallway whispers, the fear in his voice, and the quiet shift in power. "What's phase 2? Tyler knocks. And what do we do this time?" Her father's eyes sharpened. "We don't need to bring him down. We let him do it himself." By Monday, the entire school was buzzing. Jake Morrison, arrested, suspended. Scholarship offers gone. The football team was a shadow of itself, and Tyler Knox, who had stepped in as the unofficial leader, was fuming. "This is a setup," he shouted during lunch, loud enough for the whole cafeteria to hear. "Jake doesn't use anything. Someone's out to get him." His girlfriend Ashley tried to calm him. "Maybe he'll clear it up. Maybe the schools will give him a second chance." Tyler shook his head. "They won't. They don't gamble on guys with drug charges." He slammed a fist onto the table. "Someone ruined his future, and I'm going to find out who." 3 tables away, Zara quietly sipped her drink, eyes steady, unreadable. But inside, she could feel it. Tyler was looking, not at facts, not at the situation. He was looking for someone to blame. That afternoon, Commander Washington spread out Tyler's intel folder across the dining table. "His family's in trouble financially," he said. "Father's in construction. Mother works part-time. Tyler needs a scholarship. Without football, he's got nothing." Zara nodded. "And if Jake was his protector, now he's exposed." "Exactly," her father said. "The clock is ticking, and desperation makes people careless." "College or student loans?" Commander Washington set down Tyler Knox's file. "That's the line he's walking." "So, we target his scholarship," Zara said quietly. Her father nodded, but his face was more cautious than before. "Tyler's not like Jake. He's not entitled. He's desperate. And that makes him more dangerous." "What do you mean?" "Desperate people don't just fight back. They escalate. He's the kind that turns violent when cornered. So we have to be smarter, sharper, no mistakes." He placed a small vaping device and several baggies on the table. Zara's eyes narrowed. "What is that?" "Your surveillance paid off," he said. "Yesterday I followed him. Tyler sold 3 of these to freshmen behind the gym, $50 each. He's making money off underage kids and breaking the law to do it. So, we don't need to plan anything this time. Exactly, her father said. We just make sure the right people find out what he's already doing. Zara stared at the evidence. But what if this ruins his whole future? His family really needs that scholarship. Commander Washington looked her dead in the eye. This is the hardest part, questioning whether justice is worth the cost. But Tyler made his choices long before we showed up. Remember the puddle, his laugh, his words, "You people." Zara said nothing, but that night she couldn't sleep. She kept seeing his face, not just the bully, but the boy behind it. The tension in his voice when Jake got arrested, the anger, the fear, but she also remembered his hands grabbing her, the mud, the shame. Tuesday afternoon, just after school, Tyler stood behind the gym like clockwork. Zara watched from the art building across the quad, phone camera steady. 2 freshman boys approached him. Quick conversation. Money changed hands. Devices exchanged. Zara recorded everything. Wednesday morning, she sent the footage to Principal Martinez anonymously, along with screenshots of Tyler's Venmo transactions. Same dates, same times. By 3rd period, Tyler was pulled out of chemistry class. By 4th, his locker had been searched. Inside, 12 vaping devices, sealed nicotine pods, and almost $300 in rolled-up cash. His voice echoed down the hallway. "This is a setup." But Principal Martinez wasn't having it. "Mr. Knox, we have video evidence of you selling to minors. This is not a setup, it's accountability. You don't understand. Your family needed you to make better decisions. You're suspended pending expulsion hearings. Deputy Collins will handle the rest." By lunch, everyone knew. Tyler Knox, the linebacker being scouted by 3 state universities, was facing expulsion and criminal charges. His dream, gone. Ashley caught up with Zara after school, eyes sharp. "Did you hear what happened to Tyler?" "It's all over campus," Zara replied. "Pretty shocking. He says someone's targeting the team. First Jake, now him." "Maybe they just weren't as perfect as everyone thought," Zara said, trying to stay calm. Ashley's expression tightened. "He's going to lose everything." Zara hesitated. She remembered Tyler's eyes when Jake was arrested. The panic, the confusion. She remembered his rage, his silence when Brandon laughed. "That's really sad," she said softly. But Tyler made his own decisions. As Ashley walked away, Zara stood still, the hallway quiet around her. Justice, her father had told her, isn't always satisfying. Sometimes it just feels heavy. And it did. But it wasn't over yet. There was still one more piece of the puzzle left. And Brandon Mills was already cracking. With Jake expelled and Tyler suspended, Brandon had no shield left. No one to follow. By Tuesday night, the pressure had pushed him to the edge. He picked up the phone. "We need to meet," he told Jake. "All 3 of us." Jake's voice on the other end was cold. "For what? Come on, man. You really think it's a coincidence we all got taken down right after we messed with that girl?" Silence. "I'm serious. First you get arrested, then Tyler. Someone's been watching us, collecting stuff. Setting this all up." Jake's voice dropped. "You're saying Zara?" "Who else? Think about it. Every time we mess with her, something happens. You ever notice how she never reacts? Just watches? Like she's waiting." Long pause. "You think she's behind all this?" "I know she is." Jake was quiet again. "Meet me at Tyler's in an hour. I don't care how you get there. Just come. We need to fix this. Fast." The 3 boys sat in Tyler's garage, their usual cockiness replaced by a toxic mix of fear and fury. "This is insane," Tyler muttered as Brandon laid out his theory. "You're saying some cheerleader is behind all of this?" "I'm saying someone is," Brandon shot back. "And she's the only one with a reason. We humiliated her. Now we're the ones getting dismantled. Piece by piece. Jake leaned forward, eyes darker than usual. Even if you're right, what are we supposed to do? I'm on house arrest. Tyler's about to get expelled. You're one step behind us. That's exactly why we can't do nothing, Brandon snapped. His desperation made him bold. If she's been playing games, it's time to show her how we play back. Tyler raised an eyebrow. What are you talking about? I'm talking about a conversation. One she won't forget. We find her, corner her, and get answers. Jake's voice dropped to a dangerous hush. And then what? Brandon's eyes glittered. Then we make sure she knows some battles aren't worth starting. Tyler nodded slowly. Yeah, she wants to play smart. Let's show her how nasty things can get. She thinks she's in control, Brandon added, feeding off their anger. Let's remind her who runs this school. Jake pulled out his phone. We can't do it at school. Too many cameras. We need to know where she lives. I can get that, Tyler said. My mom still has PTA access to the parent portal. 20 minutes later, the screen lit up. 1247 Maple Street. A quiet street. Modest home. No security system they could see from street view. Jake's fists clenched. This ends tonight. She thinks she can ruin our lives and walk away. Time to show her what real consequences look like. What if she calls the cops? Brandon asked, voice faltering. She won't get the chance, Jake replied coldly. We go fast. In and out. Just a conversation. What if her parents wake up? Jake shrugged. Then we improvise. But one way or another, this stops now. For the next hour, they planned. Their words were quiet, but their energy burned with the reckless logic of cornered animals. Remember, Jake said as they prepared to leave, we're not there to hurt her, just to talk, make our point. Tyler nodded, loud and clear. Brandon nodded too, trying to convince himself they weren't about to cross a line they couldn't return from. Zara had developed a habit of evening walks, part exercise, part therapy after the past few weeks. Her father encouraged it, calling it psychological decompression. Wednesday at 8:30 p.m., she slipped out the door and walked the familiar loop through quiet, lamplit streets. She was 3 blocks from home, near Riverside Park, when she heard it. A low engine, creeping. She didn't turn around. Instead, she studied the reflection in a parked car's window, a dark pickup matching her pace. Her father's voice echoed in her mind. Never let them choose the location. If you're followed, stay near light, stay near help, or take control. The park was too exposed, too many shadows. She veered toward the main road. Then, slam. Car doors. Hey, Zara! Jake's voice cut through the quiet. She didn't stop. Her hand slid into her pocket to call her dad. Don't even think about it, Tyler warned, stepping out of the trees. Brandon emerged from behind a parked SUV. They'd boxed her in. They'd planned it. We just want to talk, Jake said, approaching from behind. No daddy to save you this time. Zara stopped, turned. All 3 were visible now. The nearest house, dark and far. No one around. What do you want? She asked, voice calm despite the pulse thudding in her ears. Answers, Jake said. We know it was you, all of it. I don't know what you're talking about. Stop lying, Tyler snapped. Jake gets busted right after we teach you a lesson. I get caught. Brandon's next. You think we're idiots? No, Zara said, gaze steady. I think you got yourselves in trouble, and you're looking for someone else to blame. Brandon's voice cracked. Jake lost his scholarships. Tyler's facing charges. You ruined everything. Zara's voice dropped to a whisper, ice in her tone. You want to talk consequences? Maybe you should have thought about that before you laid your hands on me. The words hit like a slap. Jake's face tightened. Tyler's fists curled. Brandon stepped back slightly, the first to feel the edge. Zara didn't move. She didn't flinch. She just stood, back straight, eyes sharp, like a chess master waiting for the board to shift. Jake's face darkened. "So you admit it. You've been planning this." "I admit one thing," Zara said. "Eventually, bullies face consequences." Tyler stepped forward, fists clenched. "Consequences? You call destroying our futures justice? Over a prank?" Zara's calm cracked just slightly. "You humiliated me, in front of everyone. You tore my uniform. You made me feel powerless." "Good," Jake snarled. "Maybe now you know what we feel like." Zara's voice didn't shake. "The difference is, you chose to be bullies. I chose to fight back." "Well, congratulations," Tyler sneered. "You win. We're all ruined. Happy?" "Not yet," she said, cool as steel. The words hit like a fuse. Jake's eyes narrowed. "What else do you want from us?" "I want you to understand that some people won't stay victims, no matter how much you try to intimidate them." Brandon, sweating now, stepped forward. "We get it, okay? You're smarter than us, stronger. Can we just call it even?" Zara's voice rose. "You think this is even? 3 of you, in the dark, cornering me on a quiet street, like cowards?" "We're not cowards," Tyler snapped and lunged. But Zara was ready. She sidestepped, driving her elbow hard into his ribs. He stumbled back, wheezing. She pivoted just in time to catch Jake charging from behind. Her fist slammed into his torso. He doubled over, just as she moved to bring her knee upward, but he twisted away. Brandon tried to grab her arm. Bad move. Zara turned, locked his wrist, and threw him over her hip. He hit the asphalt with a pained shout. Tyler, regaining breath, attacked again, more cautious now. She feinted left, struck right, her palm cracking against his nose. Blood burst forward as he stumbled back, stunned. Then Jake pulled something from his pocket, a knife. "Enough games," he gasped. "You want war? Let's go." The blade glinted under the streetlight. Zara's mind went silent, focused. Her father's voice came back in crystal clarity. "Redirect. Control the wrist. Disable. Disarm." Jake lunged. Zara stepped into the motion, seized his wrist with both hands, and twisted sharply. The blade dropped. She drove her knee into his stomach, followed by an uppercut that sent him backward, crashing to the ground. 30 seconds. 3 opponents, all down. Zara stood, breathing hard, heart hammering, but eyes steady. Then, sirens. Red and blue lights spilled across the street. Someone had called. 3 minutes later, the first cruiser arrived. Officer Martinez stepped out, hand hovering near her belt. 3 boys lay injured. A knife glittered on the pavement, and one girl stood quietly among them. "Nobody move," she commanded. "Hands where I can see them." Zara slowly raised her hands. "Officer, my name is Zara Washington. These boys followed me. One pulled a knife. I defended myself." Tyler was groaning, blood still streaming. "She attacked us. We just wanted to talk." "With a knife?" Officer Martinez asked, nodding toward the blade near Jake's feet. "That's not ours," Brandon shouted, trying to stand. "She must have planted it." Another cruiser pulled in. An ambulance followed. Deputy Collins started securing the scene while paramedics checked on Jake, now half conscious, face pale and bloody. "I need to call my father," Zara said firmly. "Not until we get a statement," Martinez replied. "What happened?" "They followed me from my house. They threatened me earlier this week, and tonight they came back to make good on it." "Lies," Tyler growled. "She's been after us for weeks. Got Jake arrested, got me suspended. Now she's trying to finish us off," Deputy Collins called out from the ground. "This knife, it matches the one reported stolen from the Morrisons' garage last week. Exact match." Jake blinked. "Wait, what? That wasn't... Someone set me up!" And then the sound of tires. A black truck came around the corner. Commander Washington stepped out, his steps precise, his presence cutting through the chaos like a blade. "Sir, this is a crime scene," Officer Martinez warned. "I'm aware," he said calmly, showing ID. "Commander David Washington, retired. She's my daughter." "What's her condition?" "She appears unharmed," Martinez replied, eyeing him with cautious respect. "She says she was attacked." Commander Washington surveyed the scene. One girl standing, 3 boys on the ground, a knife. No doubt in his eyes. "Zara?" he asked. "I'm okay, Dad." "Did you follow procedure?" "Yes, sir. I tried to avoid conflict. I called for help. I used only what I had to when they gave me no choice." Her father's jaw tightened, not with anger, but with pride. "You did everything right," he said quietly. Officer Martinez frowned. "Protocol? What kind of protocol?" "Self-defense," Commander Washington said evenly. "I've been training my daughter to protect herself ever since these boys started harassing her at school." "Harassing?" the officer asked, glancing toward the boys. Before Zara could respond, Tyler burst out, "She's been ruining our lives. Jake lost his scholarships because of her." "Because he brought drugs to school," Zara replied flatly. Jake, still groggy, snapped, "Drugs you planted." "Prove it." Deputy Collins stepped in. "We're going to need everyone down at the station for statements. This isn't a simple situation. Multiple allegations, multiple parties. My daughter won't answer questions without a lawyer present," Commander Washington said firmly. "Dad, it's okay," Zara said, her voice calm. "I have nothing to hide." Jake, helped to his feet by a paramedic, barked bitterly. "Of course she doesn't. She planned all of this." "Planned what, exactly?" Officer Martinez asked. "Revenge," Jake snapped, "for putting her in her place." The silence that followed was instant and damning. Commander Washington's eyes narrowed. "So you're admitting you targeted my daughter?" Brandon tried to backpedal. "It wasn't like that. It was just high school stuff." "High school stuff," Zara repeated, her tone sharp for the first time. "You shoved me into mud, ripped my uniform, laughed while I sat on the ground in front of half the school. You didn't belong on our team," Tyler muttered. "You never belonged at our school." Martinez looked at her partner. The tone, the language, the pattern, it wasn't just about bullying anymore. "I think," she said quietly, "we're now talking about something much more serious. Assault, harassment, and possibly civil rights violations." "Civil rights?" Brandon's voice cracked. "Targeting someone based on race is a federal crime, son," Deputy Collins said. "And based on what we've heard so far, that may be exactly what's happened here." The boys paled. What started as pushing a girl off the squad had become a potential federal hate crime. Commander Washington placed a hand on Zara's shoulder. "Officer, my daughter has been documenting every threat, every message, every detail. We'll need that evidence. You'll have it tonight." As the boys were loaded into separate cruisers, Zara finally exhaled. The confrontation was over, but the real fight for justice had only just begun. In the weeks that followed, Zara's life changed forever. What began as one girl standing her ground became a national story, a mirror held up to every school, every hallway, every ignored whisper. The first wave hit when the FBI officially opened a federal civil rights investigation. Agent Sarah Kim visited the Washington home just 3 days after the attack. Calm, precise, serious. "This isn't just assault," she explained. "It's systemic harassment based on race. That makes it federal." Commander Washington nodded. "What do you need from us?" "Everything," she said. "Text messages, posts, witnesses. We're going to build a case that holds up and sends a message. Meanwhile, The boys' families scrambled. Jake Morrison's father hired the top defense attorney in the state for a $50,000 retainer. Tyler Knox's parents mortgaged their home just to afford representation. Brandon Mills's mother took on night shifts to cover a public defender. And then, the footage hit. A neighbor's doorbell cam had captured the entire encounter. 3 boys, 1 girl, a knife, and the moment she fought them off. Teen girl fights off racist attackers. The headlines exploded. Cable news couldn't stop airing the footage. Social media lit up with millions of posts. Zara Washington became a symbol, not just of strength, but of resolve. 2 weeks later, CNN's Anderson Cooper sat in the Washington living room. "Zara," he asked, "when they cornered you that night, what was going through your mind?" "That this," she said calmly, "was what my dad had prepared me for. Not the punches, but the choice. Between being afraid or standing up. And Commander Washington," Cooper turned, "you taught your daughter to defend herself. Any regrets?" His expression didn't shift. "Only that I had to. But if the choice is between a daughter who can protect herself or one who suffers in silence, I'll train her every time." The interview drew 20 million viewers. It sparked debates about school safety, racism, parenting, and justice. Back in Westfield, the community was shaken. Some stood firmly with Zara, inspired by her strength, her courage. Others refused to look deeper, still loyal to the old power structures, still clinging to the belief that the boys had just made a mistake. But the truth could no longer be buried. Zara hadn't just defended herself that night. She'd exposed a system and changed the conversation forever. 3 boys, 1 decision, a national reckoning. As public pressure mounted, the boys claimed they were being unfairly punished for what their supporters called typical teenage behavior. But the federal government disagreed. Westfield High School became the subject of a full-scale Department of Education and FBI civil rights investigation. Principal Martinez was placed on administrative leave. Coach Reynolds, it was revealed, had known about the harassment and said nothing. He was fired within 24 hours. The evidence was overwhelming. What began as bullying had grown into something far darker. Dozens of text messages planning the confrontation. Social media posts filled with racially coded language. Witness statements describing months of targeted harassment. And then, the doorbell camera footage, the ambush, the knife, the attack. There was no denying what had happened. Behind closed doors, the plea negotiations. 3 months into the legal battle, attorneys began scrambling for plea deals. Jake Morrison's lawyer, Harrison Wells, met with District Attorney Rebecca Chen in her office. "My client is willing to plead to simple assault," he said. "No hate crime charges, 18 months, quiet resolution." Chen didn't blink. He pulled a weapon on a girl because of her race on camera. The offer is assault with a deadly weapon. Conspiracy, federal hate crime, 4 years minimum. Wells tried again. What if he gives a public apology? Chen opened a file. Yesterday, on a recorded jail call, he used a racial slur 6 times, said he'd finish the job when he gets out. You call that remorse? Wells lowered his eyes. He had nothing left to argue. Tyler's lawyer got no further. His private texts included violent revenge fantasies. Only Brandon Mills showed actual remorse. He began writing apology letters, attended counseling, cooperated fully. Even his own family was deeply shaken. The fallout in Westfield. The story ripped through the community. The high school football season was canceled. Emergency school board meetings were held. Real estate values declined. Families considered moving away. Jake's family suffered most. Morrison Construction lost multiple contracts. His mother, a real estate agent, couldn't book clients anymore. Tyler's father was laid off when his company deemed his name bad for business. His mother picked up double shifts at the diner, but bankruptcy loomed. Brandon's mother, a hospital worker, faced whispers, stares, and isolation. Relatives distanced themselves. She kept working, quietly enduring the shame. Inside the facilities, Jake, held in adult lockup due to the weapon charge, gained a reputation for disciplinary issues and ongoing racist behavior. Tyler spent his time in protective custody after multiple fights. Brandon remained in juvenile detention, attending therapy and writing apology letters his lawyer hoped might save him. 6 months later, a nation. Watch's media offers poured in for Zara. Documentaries, book deals, speaking tours. She turned them all down. She focused on school, on healing, on her new position, student body president, elected in a landslide. The sentencing. On a cold March morning, the courthouse overflowed. Outside, protesters lined the street. Some called for justice. Others claimed the boys were victims of wokeness, news vans, cameras, national media. Inside, Judge Patricia Reynolds, a 30-year veteran of the bench, opened the file for what had become the most high-profile case of her career. "We are here for sentencing," she announced. Defendants Morrison, Knox, and Mills have pled guilty to charges of assault, criminal conspiracy, and federal civil rights violations. Zara sat in the front row in a modest blue dress. Her father sat just behind her, back straight, eyes steady. Madison Clark and several cheerleaders had come to support her. Across the aisle, the boys sat quietly, now shadows of who they'd once been, their families behind them, aged, hollow, broken. The final argument, DA Rebecca Chen rose. "This case is not about a prank gone wrong. It is not about teenage misjudgment. It is about systematic racial targeting that escalated into planned violence. These boys weren't reckless. They were coordinated." She opened a thick folder. In their own words, they called her that N-word cheerleader. They discussed ways to get rid of her. They followed her home, cornered her in the dark, brought a weapon. The courtroom was still. They tried to break her. The system fought back. For months, Zara Washington had been tormented by her classmates, pushed, humiliated, and targeted with racist slurs. But when they ambushed her outside her home with a knife, everything changed. What the boys thought would be a quick scare turned into a national civil rights case. The investigation that shook a community. Westfield High found itself under federal investigation. The principal was suspended. The football coach fired for knowing and saying nothing. And the evidence? Devastating. Text messages planning the assault. Social media posts drenched in racism. Ring camera footage showing the attack. Jake Morrison, the ringleader, offered a weak plea deal, but prosecutors had intercepted his jail calls. He'd used slurs and threatened to finish the job. The judge was done. The sentencing that made headlines. In a packed courtroom, Judge Reynolds made her ruling. Jake Morrison, 4 years in prison, 3 years probation. Tyler Knox, 3 years for physically attacking Zara. Brandon Mills, who showed remorse and cooperated. 18 months in juvenile detention and 500 hours of community service. Jake's mother sobbed. His father stared, broken. Tyler trembled. Brandon cried silently. Then Zara stood. The girl, they tried to silence. "I didn't want this fight," she said. "I just wanted a normal high school life, but you chose to take that from me. You tried to scare me into silence. Instead, you taught me to stand up and speak louder." The courtroom held its breath. "I hope prison teaches you what empathy couldn't." Her voice echoed with strength they never expected. What happened? After Jake was later caught attacking a black inmate, his sentence extended to 7 years. Tyler entered counseling and began writing apology letters. Brandon completed his sentence, worked with racial justice groups, and asked for forgiveness face to face. Zara, she became student body president, spoke at school assemblies, and earned a full scholarship to Harvard. She didn't just survive. She transformed the entire school. And the final message? When asked if she regretted anything, she said, "I regret that it had to happen, but I'll never regret fighting back."